We're gonna talk some Randy Orton here. We were gone a few weeks, but the last Survivor Series marked as having the most pay-per-view matches under his belt at 177, and then I believe it was this Monday or Monday before that. He also made it the most Raw appearances by any wrestler.
Really?
Yes. So Randy Orton, of course, very accomplished WWE superstar, 14-time WWE champion, one-time Intercontinental champion, one-time US champion, tag team champion 3 times. Currently, right now with Riddle. Won the Roman match in 2009 and 17, and also a 2013 Money in the Bank winner.
He's done it all.
He's done it all. I mean, we talk about Randy Orton, talk about his legacy. I did have the pleasure of watching him most of his career between 2002 and 2019. Now, obviously, I knew who he was. I knew what his dad, Bob, and all that. Like what I did in those 17 years, take a little peek at times. Obviously, he was one of the guys that stood out. Obviously Cena's and Orton's, and Lesnar's, all that. So I knew how great this guy was. And as I look back and watching his career, and seeing all the things he's accomplished, like you would never consider Randy Orton to be a tippy top guy,
right?
Like Hogan and Cena's and Austin, all that. But to me, he's been probably, if you think about it now, especially now we consider how long he's been with the company, to me, the most steady, like dependable, steady. We need him to hold a title for a little while. Go right ahead. I've started comparing Randy Orton in the last 2 years to use an NBA comparison to Tim Duncan. Just steady, not too flashy. Just although the RKO is fucking incredible, it's a move. But that guy's just steady. He's just Mr. Dependable, Mr. Fundamental. Like Duncan is. To me, he's that guy now. And he's always in a meaningful feud. He may not be the best feud of the year, but he's always in that. When you think about feuds, like for example, best feuds the last year or two I've watched, Randy Orton was always involved in at least one of them.
Yeah.
So to me, as I watch his career, in hindsight, and I started watching his run when he actually was kind of like the top guy for a little while, 2011 ish.
Oh yeah, he's been a top guy.
He's a Christian at the time. Dude, he was incredible. He was just incredible. So like to me, like you would never consider him as a tippy top guy, but top 10, top 15, yeah, maybe, right? I mean, I don't know. I just want to get you guys' thoughts on Randy Orton, just to kind of talk about his legacy and what he means to the company and what he means to this pro wrestling as a whole.
I think it's interesting because his career has spanned long enough at this point that we've literally been able to watch him. And for those of us that are like in our 30s that have been watching wrestling since we were kids, he might be the first career outside of maybe like an Undertaker or somebody like that we literally got to watch from the beginnings all the way till now where it's still going, like he literally, because even Undertaker, like, let's face it, like there was those years as Mean Mark Callis and WCW and stuff. So it was easy to miss some things. Orton started in WWE. He started in OVW. He started a Florida Championship, whichever one of those he was in.
Right.
He got his beginnings there. He got his call up to the main roster very young. He was the youngest world heavyweight champion, at one point at the time. He definitely, we got to watch him. And that's the funny thing is, like, you can look at very distinct points in his career. Like, I remember when he was the young up-and-comer, legend killer, fighting The Undertaker, fighting, all those kinds of guys. Flair, Hogan, all of that. I remember that very vividly.
I remember his first really shitty where he was the closed caption TV
yes,
oh
my God, the Randy News Network. Yes.
Oh my God, it was so bad.
When he was first injured after they first debuted.
Yeah, that.
You want to know the funny thing? That injury is the only major injury that I remember Randy ever having.
Mm-hmm.
When I think of Randy Orton, I think of Cal Ripken.
That's a good one.
Cal Ripken played 3,290 fucking 7 consecutive games. He never missed a day for almost 20 seasons.
Orton is the
same way. He's there every day.
He's the Iron Man.
You need him to have a feud with Riddle against insert random tag team here. He's for it.
Right.
You need him to lose to Omos in 37 seconds to get Omos over. He's for it. You need him to have a good match against Dolph Ziggler so everyone remembers how good of a wrestler Dolph Ziggler is. He's for it. Like, no matter what you need from Randy, it's like...
And he's versatile.
All right, let's do it. I can be a face this week, I can be a heel next week, and no one's going to know the difference.
And he's one of those guys that you can put into feuds that have nothing to do with the title, and then you can also put him into the title scene if you need to. Look, if you look at the last couple of, 2 years of his career, you had that long feud with Drew McIntyre for the belt, and then that eased its way into a feud with Bray Wyatt and The Fiend.
And that's really the last, the first time in a long time that I know Randy won the title.
Yeah,
was even really involved in the world title picture.
But that's what I'm saying. You have to go back to over a year ago at this point.
Yeah.
To get there.
Correct.
But it's not like he hasn't been one of the main focuses of the company even since he last fought for the title well over a year ago. You got him into that feud with The Fiend. You got that whole long storyline that got us through most of the pandemic. You got him then into this whole thing with Matt Riddle, and you've ended up with them being, honestly, one of the most fun tag teams in WWE in a very long time.
This is the point of the show where I tell all of you that you're fucking idiots because everybody thought Orton was going to turn on him in 2 weeks. So I digress and continue. You're all idiots.
But the funny thing is, you also still know at some point they are going to break up. At some point, Orton probably is going to turn on Riddle, and we're still going to get a hot feud.
Sure, but everyone thought it was going to last 2.5 weeks.
Yeah,
exactly. Going for 6 months.
Right. But I'm just saying, this is another thing, though, where, you can now keep Orton away from the world title for another year or another 6 months.
At least another 3 months.
Right. And honestly...
Because you're going to get them losing the titles probably at day one.
Right. Maybe get them fighting each other at WrestleMania.
That's going to lead to them having a malfunction at the Junction.
Right.
Obviously, there'll be something where maybe they eliminate each other in the Rumble. We'll both probably be in the Elimination Chamber match in February.
Right.
And it leads to Riddle versus Orton at some type of match on one of the nights of WrestleMania. Then that feud will go its separate ways, and you can put Randy somewhere else, and then you can move Matt into something more dynamic, like maybe another U.S. title run.
I think the world title scene.
Well, depending on who's the champion at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
If we're coming out
with Mega Power for a while,
one thing.
Yeah.
But I then you have the ability to make some moves both directions. I think the real concern here when it comes to Orton and Riddle, those guys look to seem like they're having so much fun together.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want them to break up.
Right.
I don't know that I want them to feud. I almost would rather them just all right, we lost the tag titles. You want to go do your thing? I'm going to go do my thing. If you ever need any help, you know where I'm at kind of thing.
Right.
And they just kind of go do their own thing. I don't need a Riddle-Randy Orton feud.
Right.
Because Randy looks like he's having more fun doing this than he would feuding with Riddle.
Right.
So I almost would just prefer that it just be bro.
I mean, it is the predictable option to go, obviously, with
it's
them.
It's the safe route to go.
The same,
It's a safe route to go because you can automatically pencil that in to fill one of the matches that you're going to have to fill on
2 nights. And it could be a great match.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely, it could be. And him riding the scooter down to the fucking ring and Jerry World on that long-ass ramp.
Yeah.
Yeah, fans are going to eat that with a fucking spoon.
Here's one thing that I wonder while we talk about Orton and stuff. Because, at this point, he's been around,
20 years.
2003, 2004. Right. So we're almost going on 20 years of this man in WWE.
Correct.
Like we've said, mostly injury-free. Never really been gone for that long a period of time.
He went and filmed the one movie that he did.
The Marine 7 or whatever.
He got dinged up at the beginning, and he may have had one or two hey, I'm going to take a couple weeks off to go meet my wife because she's having a kid, or this, that, and the other, the vacation.
But he's never been gone for years.
And it's never been hey, I just blew out my ACL.
Right.
I'm going away. It's never been, I have concussion problems. I'm going away.
And the funny thing is, so he's part of the generation of wrestlers. But the big four of this particular generation of wrestlers are him, Cena, Brock, and Batista. Do you agree with me?
I'll give you 3 out of 4.
Who's the fourth one? Who would you give as the fourth?
I don't know that I would put Batista in that one.
Okay.
I would probably
see. I'm looking at like the guys that came up from OVW at the same time that all became like kind of the big stars of the company. Because here's what's interesting though, right? Of those 4 guys that I just named, like run with me with these.
He's definitely in the Mount Rushmore of the last 20 years.
No, but this isn't a Mount Rushmore thing. This isn't a Mount Rushmore thing.
I think I know where you're
going. Follow me here, right? You had these 4 guys come up around the same time, 2003, 2004, and they were kind of earmarked in a lot of ways. Maybe not Cena at first, but he got there as the future of WWE. And the thing is, I don't know what they had in mind for the future, like of WWE in terms of like length of time. Because let's face it, look, back in the days in the 80s, when you made a guy a star, you were like, we might get 6 good months out of him, and that's it.
Right.
And then, you get into the 90s and stuff, and yeah, you get guys like The Undertaker and stuff, and it's like, all right, well, we may have a star on our hands for who knows how long. I don't think they expected 30 years out of The Undertaker,
I agree.
So I don't know that they expected 20 years out of Randy Orton. I don't know if they expected 20 years out of any of these guys. But here's the funny thing, if you look at it, right? Cena, gone. Become a big movie star. Like, he'll always come back. WWE will always be home. But he's not the guy that's sticking around. He's not the Iron Man, yada, yada, yada. Batista, same thing. Went off, did movies.
Batista was always was a bandit on a bullet hole because he was like 35 whenever he got caught up to the
Yes, exactly. Yes.
He was playing against the hourglass before.
Yes.
And that's the only reason why when you look at the 4 pillars of like these are the next big things, like that's the reason why I don't know that I would put Dave on that list. Because Dave was someone they strapped the rocket to immediately because they knew they were working against the time barrier. Nothing against Dave because I love Batista.
Right.
He had probably one of the best entrances in all of wrestling with all the pyro and the fucking, all that fun stuff.
Right.
Like, I love Batista. You'll never hear me say a negative word about him in ring at all.
Right.
Like, you got the most out of him for as long as you could.
Who would be a 4th guy though, Mikey? If you had to put a 4th guy in that.
See, but the 4 that I'm leaning towards is more younger.
It's Shelton.
Building. Like, Shelton would have been one if he, and even when he left, he went to New Japan and did stuff and then he came back. Like, Shelton is someone that I thought they would build around.
Right.
Like, him and Haas is the world's greatest tag team before Haas went fucking completely
batshit
fucking crazy. He was one that I would have probably leaned towards. Now I'm trying to remember. There's, like, honestly, like, this is going to sound really weird because they were still technically there. Like, I would have thought that he would have found a way to get something out of Jindrak and O'Hare.
Yeah, I can see
that.
Like,
I would have put them on that list of like, oh yeah, these are going to be the guys that he wants to build around.
Yeah.
It didn't help that Jindrak and O'Hare both were not great wrestlers.
No.
Nor do they seem to actually give a fuck about wanting to be wrestlers.
Right.
But like obviously when you look at it post date, like obviously Batista's on the list because of what Batista went and did. But when they all got called up together or when they all got acquired from WWE or WCW when they closed, like I would have been like Jindrak and O'Hare, Cena, Orton, and then Brock.
Right.
That would have been my 4 because I'd have been like, okay, we got a couple of young guys that could be a tag team. We got the fucking Cowboy's son. We got the fucking next big thing, and we got the dude that's rapping his ass off.
So here's a question. I don't know if this could be the end of the topic or not, but I think it's worth exploring. Right.
I won't think.
Topic. Okay. Do you think that Orton could transition into being one of these guys that pops up every once in a while for like a month or 2?
No.
Or you think he needs to be the Iron Man? You think that's his contribution?
If Randy is going to be there, Randy is going to be there.
Okay.
I think if Randy makes the decision to not be there, Randy is done and does not want to be there. I don't think that it's I don't want Randy to do that.
Right.
I think Randy is programmed like his father is and was when his father was in the ring. If I'm here, I'm here, and I'm gonna be here every day, and I'm gonna be here night in and night out, town in and town out, getting as much heat or as much cheer as I can. And when I'm done. I'm not wrestling anymore. If you need me to come be a coach, you need me to come do stuff in the backstage area, you need me to come be the GM, you need me to do other. But if I'm taking the boots off, you're not Undertaking me. You're not bringing me back.
So
every year for SummerSlam card.
Let me ask one thing before we go into the next topic. I mean, all time. I mean, I'm obviously I don't think you'll have on your all time Mount Rushmore. However,
he's a lot closer than I think you would think.
Right. No. I agree with you. Top 10, 15, easily.
I will put him in my top 15 with an argument for my top 10.
Agreed. I'm in the same position too. Absolutely agree with you on that one.
I will put him in my top 15.
I can see that.
And
I think there's a legitimate argument. Like if you went and listed 15 wrestlers and then went and did the research on like their careers, like you could make an argument for him. Like if you took 5 wrestlers and you took 5 wrestlers and I took 5 wrestlers out of a agreed upon 15 wrestler thing, and we ranked the 15 of them based off of their careers,
right?
Which is something we may be able to do,
right?
We did discuss that actually.
There's a legitimate argument once you start tailing back. Well, he never missed any dates. He was never hurt.
Right.
He was always there.
Right.
He has held the title like 14 times.
Yeah.
You know, things that aren't getting talked about. Like those are things that like, yeah, he's got a strong resume.
Yes, he does.
Like, yeah, Taker's on that list. Hogan's on that list. Flair's on that list of the debate. I don't necessarily know that I'm not considering putting Randy ahead of one of them.
100%.
I can see that.
It's like I said, I was using the Tim Duncan example.
Consider him against over Hogan.
Yeah, valid. I'll give you that.
No, I was like I was using Tim Duncan, example. Steady wins the race, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Duncan was never flashy, never,
No.
Tim Duncan's, I don't know if he guys rank things, but he's in my top 10. He's in my number 7, number 8 in my list all time players in NBA history. So Randy Orton
he would probably end up in my top 15.
Right.
Top 15 to top 20. Like, I don't necessarily know that I could get him to 10 because you still have Magic, you still have Wilt, you still have Kareem, you still have Jordan. It might be tough to get him to 10, but if he was going to be in the top 10, he would be 10. Like, I don't think I could put him any higher than 10.
I say Randy Orton have a kind of the same vibe, but yeah, I mean the guy's incredible, and the longer he does this, and by the way, he's in 20 years next year, not 03, next year, 2002.
Oh wow!
So,
well, I always say 03 because he got hurt that first year.
Yeah,
and that first year was kind of a throwaway after he hurt his shoulder.
Right.
That's kind of why I always say 03 because it's been like almost 20 consecutive years of in-ring work.
Do you think they make a big deal out of it? Do you think they do like 20 years in the Orton coming anniversary?
I mean, if I was them,
yes,
100% I would.
I think they will because they look for an excuse to do shit like that anyway.
It depends. It depends on where they're at with Randy as a character. They'll do it if Randy's a face. They won't do it if he's a heel.
So if you could do it early next year then.
They normally never do that kind of shit whenever someone's a heel.
Right.
Like they'll say it like on the show, but there won't be a big like, oh look, here's Randy and he's in his 20th year this year. Let's give him a round of applause. Like you don't get that whenever.
No, of course.